Hello students, we are up again with new poem, that is The Echoing Green, written by William Blake. So students, first of all, before I start explaining this poem to you, I shall tell you something about William Blake. William Blake was 18th century poet, and he was really very prominent. Actually, he stepped into two ages, into the last of the 18th century and in the beginning of the 19th century. So he contributed writing his poetry. His poetry has been divided into two parts. First part is his poetry that deals with the songs of innocence, as and when he was a child, what type of experiences he have had in the world he was living in. So he shared all those experiences in his first phase of poetry, that was the songs of innocence. And in the second phase, when he grew up mature in his age, and he started to write about the experiences of his old age, of maturity, and what he learned from his life and from the society he lived in, and those time circumstances of London, and all those things he wrote in the poetry, that was the songs of experience. So he was not only just a poet, he was a great artist. He was a painter as well, and he was a multifaceted personality. So now today we are talking about one of the very famous poem, The Echoing Green. So we are going to start with the explanation of this poem now. I shall first of all recite this poem, and then the explanation will follow. Here it goes. The sun does arise and make happy the skies. The merry bells ring to welcome the spring. The skylark and thrush, the birds of the bush, sing louder around to the bell's cheerful sound, while our sports shall be seen on the echoing green. Old John with white hair does laugh awake here, sitting under the oak among the old folk. They laugh at our play, and soon they all say, such were the joys when we all, girls and boys, in our youth time were seen on the echoing green. Till the little ones weary no more can be merry, the sun does descend and our sports have an end. Around the laps of their mothers, many sisters and brothers, like birds in their nest, are ready for rest, and sport no more seen on the darkening green. So students, this was the recitation of this poem, and I am going to explain these three stanzas one by one. First of all, I am going to explain line to line about first stanza. The first stanza is, the sun does arise and make happy the skies. Now you notice one thing. The rhyme scheme of this poem is A, B, B, C, C, and so on, because the ending notes of each line are in tune of A, B, B, C, C. For example, arise skies, ring spring, thrush bush. So this is how there is a rhyme scheme, and it can be sung as well. So here it goes. The sun does arise and make happy the skies. The merry bells ring to welcome the spring. So now the poet is saying, the sun does arise is talking about the sun, that the skies have welcomed the sun. The sun has risen up. It's morning time. He is talking about the morning time, and make happy the skies. The darkness evades The spell of dark night ends when the sun arises. So the happy skies when the sun comes into the sky. The merry bells ring to welcome the spring. So he is talking about the spring season now. It's spring season, as you know. There are various seasons. Autumn is there, spring is there, winter is there, summer is there. So he is particularly talking about the spring season. So the merry bells ring to welcome the spring. So he is talking about the sounds of the nature. The sounds of the nature welcome the spring season. The skylark and thrush, these are the two birds he is talking about. The skylark and thrush. The birds of the bush. So these are the birds of the spring season. These birds are also very happy. They are extremely in the merry mood. They are enjoying the bounties of the nature. They are also welcoming the spring. So all these sounds of the nature welcome the spring season. Sing louder around. These birds are singing louder and louder, even louder than the bell's cheerful sound. The bell sound is coming from the church side. So the birds are even louder than the bells of the church. So it depicts the happy mood of the poem. The poem starts with a happy note. Everything is so pleasant, so cheerful, so happy. While our sports shall be seen on the echoing green. Now he is showing his own presence. The poet, being the narrator of this poem, he is actually narrating his childhood, or the childhood that he has lived. Now he has in front of him his growing age, and when he looks at the children, so he thinks about all these things, the pleasures that he have had in his childhood. While our sports shall be seen, so he says that children are playing. When he says our sports, it means he is also the part of that group of children who are playing on the echoing green. Echoing green is a land, green land he is talking about. Probably it would be a garden. So it means that children are playing in the garden, and he is also the part of that group of children, and they are enjoying on the echoing green. In the green park, they are all in the pleasant mood and playing and listening to. In the second stanza, the poet is saying, Old John with white hair does laugh awake here. Now he has introduced another character in his poem, that is Old John. Old John is a man who has white hair and who has lived all his life. He's also sitting there in the garden, and when he's looking at the children playing, he laughs with them. He enjoys them playing, sitting under the oak among the old folk. So now another symbol is introduced by the poet over here, that is the symbol of the oak tree. The oak tree is a tree which is very old, which is very much sprawling, and under its shadow the people enjoy their evenings. So oak tree symbolizes old age, it symbolizes maturity, it symbolizes sensibility, it symbolizes the life itself. So Old John is sitting under the oak tree, and he is not alone. He is in the company of his old friends. His old mates are also sitting and enjoying the children playing in the garden. They laugh at our play. Now the poet is saying that the poet is also assuming himself to be part of that group of the children. So he is saying that all these old men or the women, they are laughing at our play. They are enjoying when they look us playing. Why they are enjoying? Probably they also enjoy or recall the childhood memories. So that's why they actually enjoy their childhood memories on the face of children playing in the garden. As soon as they all say, and soon they all say, such were the joys. And while looking and laughing at the children playing, they were reminiscent of their own past, and then they said that they used to enjoy their life as much as these children are enjoying right now. So they were thinking about their own childhood. It is very much clear from these lines here. And soon they all say, such were the joys. So now these were the joys of their childhood. Now they are into the old age. They have lived through the ages, and they have seen so many ups and downs in their life. They have enjoyed the moments of happiness in their life, and with the passage of time they grew mature, they grew more sensible, and now all those things are mirrored in front of them, of their olden times, when they look at the children playing. When we all, girls and boys, in our youth time were seen. So now from the perspective of these old men, the narrator, the poet is narrating that when they were all very young, they were boys and girls, now they are old men and women. They were at that time young girls and boys in their youth time on the echoing green. So here in the green land, in this park, in this garden, they also used to play like these children are playing. So this poem reminds the old people of their own childhood. So here is a note of happiness as well as sorrow. Happiness in the way that they also reminded about their own childhood, their experiences, the life that life has thrown at them. And sorrow is that they are aging now, they have grown up, and ultimately life will end. They realize now that they are in the such point of age where soon they will perish, because life is whenever we come into the life, we perish. Death is inevitable. So this is what the poet hints in this second paragraph. Now moving further to the last stanza, the stanza says, till the little ones weary no more can be merry, the sun does descend and our sports have an end. Round the laps of their mothers, many sisters and brothers, like birds in their nest, are ready for rest, and sport no more seen on the darkening green. Now he says, till the little ones weary. Now weary is tired. When the children, the little ones who are playing over there, become tired, no more can be merry. Now they cannot enjoy further. Now they are completely tired. And what do we do when we are tired? We look forward to the bed, that now we are all tired and we will rest now, or probably will sleep. The sun doth descend and our sports have an end. Now the poet is saying that the sun has descended, the sun has set now. When it has set down, it means it is evening or it is the night time, and it signals towards the ending of the sports. Now here there is one internal meaning into it as well. So if we delve deep inside the meaning of these two lines, from the perspective of the old people, the sun has descended. The top, the peak time period has descended now. It has come to an end. They are at that point where anything can happen. Their life can come to the closure as well. The sun of their life will also descend soon, and our sports have an end. And he is hinting over here that the sport is the life over here, and it is going to end very soon. So it has a deeper meaning if we understand that. So the children also descend now, and they are also talking about the life, that it will descend anytime. And when we talk about the children over here, when they go back to their houses and their sports ends around the laps of their mothers, now when they are tired, they go into the lap of their mothers, they embrace their mothers or their sisters and brothers. Whosoever is dear to them in their family, they go back to them, embrace them, and they sleep in the lap of their favorite member of the family. Like the birds in their nest are ready for rest. Like the birds throughout the journey of the day returns back to their nest, and then rests in their nest. So similarly, he compares these children's play to the bird's journey, the traveling, the everyday birds in the morning time set for their journey, and after their day is over, then they return back to their nest. Similarly, the children set out themselves in the morning to play outside, and when they are tired, it's evening time, they return back. Similar is the case with the life. Childhood depicts the start of the day, and when the sun sets, it means when the dawn descends on the life of the human beings, the person slips into the grave. So this is the truth of life. And sport no more seen, and after the closure of all these things, there is no support. No sport means there is no activity on the darkening green. So the poet ultimately admits that the darkening green is the curtain of life, the life curtains, the old age. So here is a note of melancholy, of the sorrow, of the sadness, that ultimately after a person grows older, lives through all the experiences of life, gains all the experiences, sees, enjoys the merriness of life, the pleasures, even passes through the experiences, bitter experiences of life in the form of sadness, sorrow, or even seeing the death of some close ones. Everyone has to someday die. So those green parks become dark. The curtain of the life is set, and those green parks become the dark greens. So this is how ultimately the life comes to an end. So this is really a very meaningful poem, and in the backdrop of children playing, there is another message, deeper message, that is about life. That life has two phases. One phase is the happy life, and the second phase is the melancholy, or the loneliness, or the sadness, or when the ultimately life descends into the grave. So with that note, I'm calling this lecture off now, and I hope you have understood the meaning of this poem, and after that we will see the question answers of this poem. I will send the question answers to you, and along with the central idea, and I hope you will do those questions based on the explanation of this poem by your own self. And this is how we are going to finish this poem. So thank you very much. Keep doing good work.